Here we are already. This is our fourth garden tour this year. Today is July 1st. Happy Canada Day. I thought it'd be kind of cool to do a Canada Day garden tour so you can see what a Canadian garden looks like on July 1st. And a quick welcome back, or if you're new here, my name is Kayla and this is 5 Canadian Acres where we're gardening in Zone 3, cold climate, short season. So much has grown since my last video 2 weeks ago, so let's go and see. Here are our sugar magnolia peas. We've been snacking on them. They're really pretty. These ones are flat. They actually will plump up. Over here you can see there's kind of a couple that are more plump, but they've been a really nice tasty snack. And the lettuce is doing really good. I've been trying to thin it out, pulling pieces out from in between so that they will start, and they are starting to head up to form like a romaine head. We've had lots of really good harvests off of that. I did pull out the other ones. There's one there I might let go to seed, but they were going to seed, so they turned a little bitter. And then in front here, the onions are all looking really good. Here are the radishes that went to seed, and I've left them. And this is the radish pods. They're really good, young and tender like this, but once they get too big, they get tough. We really like these pickled, so I'm going to be picking some of those. Onions good here. These peas have just struggled. As you can see, they're just really, really dense. Doesn't look happy. I mean, it looks like it's growing new growth there, but I think I might just pick these ones out. I did throw a little tomato plant in here. These peas aren't so bad. These are the snow peas. They're still putting off lots of flowers and growing up tall. I'll leave them. The Swiss chard's doing good. Lots of growth on that. We've been eating that. This one actually over here has gone to seed, so I'll have to pick that one out. We're not really huge fans of it anyway, so. And then I did the couple extra tomatoes back there, and they're looking all right. I pulled up the radishes that were here because they had gone to seed, so I'm gonna plant something there. This is supposed to be orach, and I'm just actually not sure. I think a lot of these are weeds. I've never grown it before, so I don't know. I'm gonna let these grow and see if that's what I'm trying to grow. These marigolds are beautiful. They're still taking their time to flower. There are a ton of little buds everywhere, so we should get some flowers off those soon. The tomatoes growing up the back all crazy. I did trim them up yesterday, but I am going to need to come and tie them back up to the back. Tomatoes don't really climb. You actually have to tie them. But we're getting tons of flowers, and there are some of them having little tomatoes on them, which is really exciting. It's kind of that time of year. Of course, once the tomatoes come, you still have to wait a few weeks for them to actually ripen. But it's just nice to see that. And then, of course, the more marigolds here. The peppers, we don't really get super huge peppers here, but they do produce. I'll show you, we're getting lots of flowers coming off of them and some peppers on some of them. I'll show you on my table, but these are the gobstopper tomatoes I transplanted, and you can see how much they've grown. And I'll mention the ones in the pot after that have basically stunted. And that's basically a good indication that you need lots of room for these plants to grow big. The size of the pot can actually dictate the size of the plant. So waiting for these marigolds to go. This one actually, you can see he's got a flower, big flower bud's gonna open up really soon here. And the cucamelons have just taken off, which is nice. They are starting to climb up. Still probably be a couple more weeks till I see any flowers. More peppers here looking good. More peppers here. And yeah, you can see like there's got the flowers. In the back, the watermelon's just growing away. It's doing all right. For here, actually, this watermelon's looking pretty good. I've only managed to get like a tiny baby watermelon, maybe that big. So maybe we'll break the record this year. And more peppers. This is the farthest north melon. It's actually done really well. Cantaloupe's struggling a little bit. And over here is the Kajari melon. And those guys have struggled a lot more. This is my cayenne peppers, and you can see cayenne peppers do really good here. I've always had really good luck with the cayenne peppers, and yeah, you can see they're pretty big. They will turn red. And then this one here is the serrano. Oh, look, see in this one. This is the paprika pepper, and you can see we got a nice, good sized paprika pepper on there. And back down over here to my rose and herb bed. As you can see, the ranunculus have grown. Like my last video was only 2 weeks ago, and these things were just starting to open, and you can see how pretty that they are. I'm really loving the ranunculus. And then all of the stuff inside's doing good. The rose, it flowered and then it's growing and there's more flower buds coming. So we'll get another flush of flowers off of that. Will be nice. This is a bishop's flower. It's flowered out and looking really pretty. And then just all the other herbs are starting to grow and fill in. Looking really good. Over here at my table, as you can see, I got some planters for Canada Day. Some pretty red and white just to give it a little bit of pizzazz. And then these are those tomatoes I was talking about. So you can see the exact same tomatoes. I just pulled them out of here and planted them. And these guys just haven't been able to grow. There's no room for the roots. Really just kind of a little decor for here for my table. And everything else is looking really good. Those extra tomatoes are looking good. And then actually down the back here, we just planted a whole bunch of mint. Well, I bought it and transplanted. This is a basil mint, a pineapple mint, an orange mint, and the chocolate mint. I really love all the different types of mint. I have the peppermint mint and the mojito mint down below. And I just love mixing them all together to make a tea blend. Back over here, you can see these are the Kalinka Malinka tomatoes. And my biggest tomato, I'm pretty sure, is in here. There it is. So these are kind of for our environment. They've done really well. Again, I haven't done much trimming off them, but that's okay. I'm just going to let them all bush out and grow. The carrots are growing in between just fine. I never got any of that lettuce to germinate. Probably going to choke out the basil in there. We're going to have a lot of really good tomatoes off these plants. Yeah, they're all starting to pop up in there. Here are the peppers. They're all looking really good. Just got lots of flowers putting off again. They don't get super tall here. Actually, if we look on this one, you can see there's some peppers coming. These are the King of the North. So they're just going to be a green pepper. Chamomile's looking good. I've taken a harvest off there and it just flourished. So I'm going to take another harvest. And the morning glory is looking beautiful. It just trails up all over the place, which is so nice. Chai flowers are done and drying. And then once the seeds basically fall out when you shake it, I'll know they're ready. Not much going on with the dahlia. Here are the garlic. And you can see the garlic scapes. This is a garlic scape. It comes kind of like out of the middle of the garlic, of a hardneck garlic, and twirls up. Normally you would trim these, but I'm actually going to let these go and go to seed and see if I can get some garlic seed. Mostly we plant the bulbs to grow more bulbs. You can grow garlic from seed, but I think it takes like 3 years. But I just want to try. A few onions here looking good. And the okra that I planted has popped up. So hopefully we'll be able to get a little bit of those to mature. Shishito peppers, nothing really on them yet. And all these jalapeno peppers are looking good. And these ones are the nadapinos. I'm actually anxiously waiting for these to form into peppers because, yeah, here, actually, look. We do have one here. Still might be too small. If you're in the gardening scene, you'll know the thing called Peppergate 2023. And a lot of people who got like jalapeno peppers, they're not the right peppers, and it's happened to so many people. Big seed companies, stores that were selling these as a jalapeno plant, and they're not jalapeno plants. The other jalapenos were from last year's seeds, so those ones I'm hoping are good. These are the nadapinos, so I'm really hoping that they are what they are supposed to be. And the lettuce in front here is all popped up looking good. This stuff I didn't get any germination. This is a red romaine, so maybe I'll try to replant those ones. And the butter crunch and a green gem. And then actually I did also plant some marigolds down here, and they are starting to sprout. So we'll get some flowers along the edge there. Over here, these potatoes are starting to die back. It's hard to keep them watered when they're in the little pots. So I'm just going to let them die back, and we'll probably get a harvest of new baby potatoes. The cilantro bolted, gone to seed. Still the tarragon there. And pretty much everything's still the same here. We have our little apple trees growing. Blueberry trees are going. I guess they're a bush, but they're not. Nothing's turned on them yet. Just gonna have a few blueberries there. This weedy mess needs to be weeded. And then the same up here. I planted fennel there. Those are weeds, not fennel. We'll see. I don't think anything's coming up. We got our ground cherries, and they're starting to put off their flowers as well. Only my daughter and I really like them, so that'll be our treat. Pretty marigold flower, more chamomile, and the grapes are looking good. And I've mentioned this before. So this little grape bush died the first year, but every year it grows like 5. Well, last year I think it had 2, so it's growing a little more. I'm just gonna let it go. One year we might get grapes from it. But if you look over here, right through the fence there, you can kind of see a bunch of grapes coming. We'll have quite a few bundles this year, which will be nice. And the crazy asparagus, we won't be harvesting that till the fall. And this cherry tree, it was a really windy day, and you can see it kind of got bent with the wind. So in the spring, it's going to get a really good pruning, because it's kind of in my way now, blocking the path. And then the strawberries and asparagus looking really good. These are an ever-bearing strawberry, so they will produce all summer. We're still getting lots of strawberries, and now they're actually starting to throw off their runners. Basically, from the strawberry main plant, it'll throw off this little runner, and then it's going to, this one actually looks like it's rooting, and I'm going to put some in pots, or you can just set this right down in the soil, and it's going to root down there and grow another strawberry plant. Kale, we've been harvesting a bit off of that. One kale plant can produce a lot of kale, so it's not something we need a lot of. And this cabbage is starting to head up pretty good. This one over here is really big. This is the early Copenhagen market. And yeah, this thing is a nice big cabbage. And we got a little bit of broccoli coming here. These are pretty big loose buds, so we might pick that, because if you can see it in the side here, these side shoots forming. If I pick this one, it'll put the energy into forming all these side shoots, and we'll get a second harvest of broccoli. And our Red Express cabbage is growing, and the kohlrabi is kind of the same. It hasn't grown a whole lot, but it'll bulb up a little more hopefully, and then we'll harvest it. Over here, same thing. I still haven't pulled out that weird one, but the kale's just gone crazy. We've been harvesting these other cabbages. This is the tiara cabbage, which I love. I didn't have any more seeds for when I started my fall garden, but next year I'll be growing a lot more of the tiaras. I just harvested the head and left these other big leaves here just as a ground cover. And here, all this white stuff, it was actually diatomaceous earth. I've had ants just take over. They've always been down here, but they're taking over the bed, so I'm trying to get rid of them. There was the broccoli here that I pulled up, and over here is the other broccoli. And it's just barely starting, not even forming the heads yet. This stuff is a Sun King hybrid, and it actually is bred to be more heat tolerant. So this is something that you can grow in the hotter climates. Not that it can be really hot, but you know what I mean. Over here, I planted some more green beans, nothing come up yet. Our onions growing there. Actually, I don't think I had all these wood chips in last time, but we've slowly been filling in everything with the wood chips. It makes it really nice. These ones are a different kind. You can kind of see that they change there. But it keeps those weeds down. It's nice to walk on. The onions are looking good. The onions are pretty close to letting their seed go here. We've got our beans, which have just gone crazy. They're just starting to put off some flowers, and then we'll get some actual beans, which will be nice. And if I look in back here, we're getting a little bit of disease on these cucumbers, but nothing too bad. They are starting to grow. And the peppers are looking good. I still got to come in here and thin out my lettuce. I might actually transplant, like there's a few open spots. A head of lettuce doesn't take up a lot of room, so I might transplant a few of these into some of these open areas. We can get more lettuce. This here is my poblano pepper. It's growing really nicely. And then these salsa blend, I still don't really know exactly what everything is. I have one pepper off this plant. It looks like a cayenne. The cayennes do really good around here. And again, these beans are looking good. We're getting flowers off of them here. These are the purple ones. And then in the back, same, the cucumbers are all doing really good. Actually, these ones in here, you can see I've got some little baby cukes. Even actually, wow, look at that one. So there we go. Cucumber season is upon us. Over here, this blue bucket, I've started my, what I call compost tea or nettle tea. So there's many different ways you can do it, but I just pick a whole bunch of stinging nettle, fill it up with water, let it sit, and then I just dunk my watering can and water things as needed. I mostly just use it for my things that are in pots, or sometimes my raised bed, or things that just seem like they're struggling a little bit. Still got to find a home for my yellow raspberry. But all these things are looking really good. Yarrow is just crazy. I'm definitely going to need to come in and pick some of those. These Mexican sunflowers are looking good. I forgot to point out last time, but all these little things you kind of see around, that is chervil that's self-seeded from last year. just letting it go, and then we'll be able to harvest a bit of that. It's a black licorice flavor, so you want to add that as to some of your dishes. And all the zinnias are looking good. Have a nice little row there. Pan over here, we've got these are the black turtle beans. They're growing pretty slow, but they're growing, so I guess that's all we need. These are the sunflowers, which are looking really pretty. They're just short little ones, and we might be getting a little sunflowers soon. And the extra tomatoes, I did plant some spinach down along the front there. And here's interesting. So these are the Chinese long noodle beans. You can see them kind of growing. It's hard to see because they're so short. But if we go over here, these guys, these are a Cascade lemonade bean, and they were planted at the exact same time. And you can see how prolific and crazy that they are growing, like way, way, way up. It's just a little sign, like the Chinese noodle bean doesn't really grow in our climate, whereas these Cascade lemonades I got from a local seed company. It's called NoCo Seeds. And they were kind of, I believe they were grown in Saskatchewan. So that local adaptation really does matter a lot if you really want to produce, especially up here where we struggle with things. Hanging basket tomatoes are looking good. I'm actually starting to get a few little tomatoes on those as well. And then the cucumbers are looking good as well. And I did actually plant a whole bunch more beets in front here, and they are starting to sprout. It's always nice to see. You just always worry when you plant the seeds, are they going to come up? So there we go, more beets. And here are the marigolds, which are really pretty. They're not flowered yet, but hopefully soon. Little weed here. And I also, because we didn't get great germination, went ahead and planted some bachelor buttons, which I believe is what these are. Get a few more pretty flowers in there. And in the front here, I planted some parsley. Nothing's come up there. The beans over here are very slow to grow. They're not looking the best. This is the Blue Lake bush bean. We'll see what we get from those. But back here, we've got dill starting to come up there, as you can see. And I did plant dill on the other side over here as well, and it's got a lot of it coming up. Here's my circle of tomatoes. I've not come in here and trimmed and tied up anything yet. They definitely need it because actually this guy here, he's just fallen right over the wrong side, which is normal because it's growing south. Everything tries to grow to the south. But as you can see, there's lots of flowers getting put off by these guys, so it's only a matter of time before we're going to be in tomato season. And then in the middle here, this is the teddy bear sunflowers that I planted in the pot. I repotted them in here. More space to grow, so they should get bigger. And onto our squash. Everything's looking really good. You can see it's all starting to trail out there as we had planned. Candy roaster, these are the moonshine spaghetti, so they're starting to put off their flowers. Now this is a male flower, so you can see it's got a big long stem and then a flower. Those usually come first, and then you'll see the female flowers. And you'll be able to tell it's a female flower. I can show you on my other squash, because it's basically, instead of the big long stem, it's going to have the fruit and then the flower at the end of the fruit, usually just a little ball, depending on what you're growing. All the other squash here, it's not looking quite as good as those moonshine spaghetti. Those ones I got from a local seed company here in Canada as well. This guy's putting off a lot of flowers on that one too. And the calendula, which still just has those buds. What's kind of funny, I think last garden tour it looked like this. Now 2 weeks later, it looks like this. Very slow to flower. Our tomatoes, which I just actually trimmed and tied up again. So a lot of them are looking like this. If you see this leaf curl here, like this just means that your plant is stressed. And that can be from too much water, not enough water, me trimming them yesterday. Sometimes they just are more sensitive to certain things, but they're still growing really well. We're getting lots of flowers off of them. And if I go over here, I believe I have some decent sized tomatoes on what I believe are the Elizabeth Roma. You can see here they've got some really nice tomatoes on that one. And these guys actually too, all in the front down here, and all in the front down the other side, I planted some carrots. Nothing's come up yet. Carrots take like 3 weeks usually to sprout, germinate. This is the little perennial bed, looking good. Everything's slowly coming in. Perennials grow really slow. I just used the stirrup hoe to weed it yesterday, and then we're probably going to put some mulch around here. Go over here to our front garden. Everything's looking pretty good. Nice looking celery. The onions are looking really good. These are the calce, so they're going to be a really big onion, and they're already starting to bulb up, which is nice. Lots of carrots coming on. We've been thinning them and eating the baby carrots. These sugar magnolia peas, you can see, just producing like crazy. We're going to get lots of good peas off here. We're going to let these guys get big so we can have some nice peas. Next row here, same thing. Lots of good carrots. This is my one pea that made it from earlier, but we are getting the other peas to sprout. And I know we're a little late in the season, but I might interplant with some cucumbers because I feel like we just need more cucumbers. We've been harvesting off these potatoes, just eating some new baby potatoes, but they're actually, a lot of them are like a good size medium potato, which is nice. And the garlic, these scapes I need to come in and cut. These are my second batch of scapes. We're going to come in and cut all the scapes off because we don't want them to grow down here. And then it's just a matter of waiting for those leaves to die back. I still need to weed this side here, as you can see. Not weeded, weeded. Over here to our beets. Again, everything's looking good. We've been harvesting a little bit. We've gotten a little bit of baby beets out of there, just from mostly thinning them, try to give them more space. We're slowly going to be starting to do our cardboard and wood chips over here, because it's so much nicer to walk on. And these are the rutabagas down the middle here. Not really much for size yet on them, but they'll come around. And the crazy potato patch is looking good. I'm actually going to be pulling these guys in the front out because we can eat them. They're the baby potatoes, but they're starting to choke out and fall over top of my zucchini, and I only have a few zucchini. I need those guys to grow. You can see they're not really happy right there. But we are starting to get some little zucchinis in here. See right there is just a little zucchini. And over here, these guys, I mean, they're really putting out the growth, so it's only a matter of time before we're getting some good fruit. These ones here actually are the patty pans, and let's see if we can get our way in here. And you can see there's a little patty pan right there. Summer squash grows really quick, so it won't be long before we're eating that. And then over on this side are the pumpkins, and you can see, oh, here's a really pretty flower. Look at that guy. So we're starting to get the flowers, and again, if I look down here, actually this one is a female flower. Let's try to get right in here, and you can see how it's got the fruit right here and then the flower. So that is going to be the pumpkin right there. These are the white pumpkin. I just kind of ripped that pretty flower, but it's okay. That volunteer dill and the more pumpkins. Probably time to move the fence. I think we're just going to move it over to buy the potatoes and let these guys be free. The dogs didn't really bug them last year. Well, the sun's decided to come out, but it looks like we might be getting some rain here. Hopefully not too much. Like to celebrate Canada Day. Corn's looking really good. I don't know, I think it's a saying in the States. We don't grow a lot of corn here, but the whole knee high by 4th of July. And let's see here. I don't know, the tops are past my knee. So maybe Simonette corn, which is for our area. That could be why it's growing so nicely. Tom Thumb popcorn, pretty good. This crazy wheat, which you don't grow wheat, you don't know. I'm like, oh, it just looks like grass. Well, it is a grass. So that's looking really good. We should get some good seeds off of that one. And then even this corn down here, the Country Gentleman, which again, old seeds, it's looking pretty good, and we'll get a few cobs hopefully off of those ones. Now I actually want to go show you one more little area. We're calling it our deck. It's by my greenhouse, but I have a lot of like flowers and different little planters that I've made up. Give you a quick shot. This is actually where we're making more road, This is the back side of that raised garden there. And we can kind of go up to the deck. Here's a better shot of those grapes. See, we got some nice clusters. These are the Valiant grapes. They do really good in our area. A pretty morning glory. So yeah, so this is kind of the deck area. We're actually eventually going to be taking this out and making a nice wraparound, so there'll be a walkway through here. For now, it's just a really nice place to sit, and then we have some pretty things to look at. The petunias. I made this big planter up. We have marigolds. This is a purple sage, and a couple of micro dwarf tomatoes. So they just grow really short. The fat frog and the tiny Tim. You can see we got a little tomato in there. This is a lemon verbena, random things that I'm not even sure, probably weeds I'm growing. This is a painted tongue, so it's going to be flowering soon. Some more petunias, pretty. And then in this one here, there's some sweet alyssum, pineapple sage. These are a little tiny, it's like a chocolate cherry pepper. This is a lettuce leaf basil. And then another one of the painted tongues there. So there we have our Canada Day garden tour on July 1st. This is the 4th tour of the year. If you missed any of the other ones, I will link them below. And don't forget to subscribe so you can see all the future ones. About every couple of weeks I'm doing them. Things grow so much this time of year. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.